Dear Rector, dear Vice Rector, dear ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be here and see also many familiar faces. I'm going to address a topic which has been my love for last 25 years actually, to study something called early internationalizing firms. And beloved childs have many names, so under this umbrella also names such as International New Ventures, Born Globals are used. And we talk about fast and growing and early internationalizing firms. And you have probably followed from news, you know, companies such as Aura, you know, companies such as Volt, and many others, Google and Rovio and so on. So, but what actually today is the situation is that over 40% of all firms that are established in Finland and are in idea to internationalize follows this path. So it has become a quite important phenomenon during the years. So I would like to go a little bit into this. Jönsi started by mentioning quite impressive years. This kind of ceremonies have been started in 1827. I will go even a little bit more back. In my presentation, what happened 400 years before Christ was when the first books were published about strategy and decision making. And in those times, it really was important before the battles to spend some time in the temples, make some calculations. What should be the next move that we make when facing the enemy? And it was uncertain times, but I would claim that now these early internationalizing firms, these international startups, they are facing an extreme uncertainty and quite big challenges that maybe in those early days, and the books that at that time were built and our entire actually education and most of our programs are based on was planning, but is a planning-based approach something that applies today? Let's take here an example what type of challenges these firms are facing. So can you imagine something that is more challenging than if you are a CEO or a founder of a small firm? So you are in a small firm environment, and then you are, for instance, originating in Finland, a small open economy, and then with limited financial and managerial resources, you then have to globalize your firm and to do it soon and to do it fast. I mean, this is really a big challenge. And some of the challenges that have been listed here are really severe. And it is not at all clear how you can make proper decisions about these kind of issues. Let's just take as example, for instance, a little bit more on the first one, the global business knowledge that is required. So if you think of that you need to very early internationalize and globalize a firm, you actually need the knowledge of a large multinational corporation such as Nokia, IBM, Wärtsilä, and so on. So, but you are maybe just a person that have hardly graduated, in some cases not even graduated from a university, without actually any business experience. And this is the very typical scenario how these firms have been established in these kind of circumstances. So how do you overcome this knowledge gap? You know, having the knowledge of Nokia compared to just graduating perhaps from the school. Then the challenge is related to focus on which kind of products, which kind of R&D projects you should embark on. It's also very, very difficult Everybody of you that have been either are entrepreneurs or have been talking with entrepreneurs, you know they have very difficulties in deciding what actually to focus on. And this is one of the big challenges also that these entrepreneurs face. But the list goes on. Marketing and selling, I mean, that is something that typically is underestimated, and not to mention the challenges about financing the firm. But so under these kind of conditions, with really high uncertainty, and then a need to make very rapid decisions, what the studies are indicating is that the normal planning-based approach that quite a lot is still taught at many programs is not sufficient. So we need to at least tailor some of our education to match also the smaller firms' needs. But just to have, here are some of the publications and projects that myself and colleagues from Finland, also from Hanken and abroad, we have been dealing with. Typically this, we run them so that we have quite large, typically funded projects by Research Council of Finland, or then Business Finland or European Union, and then we gather a big group of people that are looking at the topic, and then we gather the data, and the publication comes then out typically a little bit later, because these are long processes. But here, for instance, some of the findings are quite interesting. For instance, this first one, when we think about marketing, published in one of the top marketing journals, the result is really do not formalize, do not build structures, do not nominate a director for marketing. You need to distribute the task to everyone. And there is so much proof that we can show based on this research about that these principles are stronger than any that involve a lot of planning. So it's quite interesting. You need to read that article. Then the other thing here about the planning. Do not plan ahead. Well, we know that we are living in a society where we are emphasizing planning. Even you hand in an application to Business Finland, you are asked to hand in a plan, and a research plan, maybe internationalization plan to some extent, to get funding. But in today's world, this does not make sense. So our research results are a lot emphasizing that no, you should not plan, you should effectuate and improvise. So effectuation is something where you make decisions based on, you make a kind of analysis what resources you have, and then you deal with them. Basically, it is the connections, it's the networks, and you take them as means, and you don't always know what is the end goal or end target that you are ending with. Another one is quite interesting, improvisation. It comes from theater field. And you know that when you have somebody performing, they may have a script, but typically they need to improvise a lot on the stage, such as me being here now. And if we think about improvisation, we have done a quite nice way, if you think about publications, that we started with bringing to one of the top IB journals, Journal of World Business. We brought first a qualitative piece that improvisation makes sense in international business. And okay, that was one publication. Then later we came with a quantitative survey where we proved it, that it certainly brings some performance results, and again to the same journal with that concept. If we go further a little bit, one of the big theories or patterns, one could maybe say, in internationalization has been that follow a so-called stages model. Go slowly, go firmly, country by country, expand carefully. But for born globals, this is too slow and inefficient way. So they need to do it much faster. And there one of the most important lessons that the publications here are telling us is that you need to leverage networks. And actually, if you think about what networks, you need to look for large networks. And the largest possible actors in this world are multinational corporations, MNCs. And so that's what I typically say when consulting firms or when talking publicly like now, that seek the big MNC in your industry. Where is your IKEA? Where is the big MNC that has the resources, has the distribution in order, knows how to do marketing, and so on? And this is actually the story of most of the early internationalizing firms in Finland, how they have born. Very hardly you find anyone that has not a connection to a big multinational corporation. So, and then, of course, technology is important. You should look for latest technology and utilize it early on. And for instance, social media is so much more than only a marketing mean. For instance, it can be applied effectively, as these publications witness, in, for instance, the sales process. How do you advance your sales process best using social media? Then internationalization. How do you internationalize in an effective way using social media? All of this is new and interesting findings and really useful for firms. How do you use, for instance, the characteristics that are associated with digitalization when building a platform that allows you to internationalize rapidly? All of that we have had the pleasure to look into. But what should be remembered is that technology is not, as in some of the articles that some people have been publishing, are claiming that you can, for instance, internationalize by accident due to the technology is taking care of everything. No, there is not such a thing as accidentally becoming successful in international business. There is an entrepreneur, there is a manager at the driving seat. Then maybe one of the final, I think, very interesting research areas is that typically we study interorganizational relationships in many areas, B2B marketing, dealing with distribution channels, and so on and so on. But we talk about a firm-to-firm relationship. But behind a firm, there is always a person, an individual. And I think too little has been examined about how actually, if you think about sales, for instance, how that relationship actually, it is an individual person that contacts another individual person, and how that is then transformed to a deal. It requires that individual relationship to become interorganizational one. And the same thing goes for this phenomenon I mentioned, that these kind of early international firms, when they are globalizing, they need to cooperate with multinational corporations. So the very latest article that has come out this month is actually dealing with how these kind of firms established by an individual person a relationship with another individual, which is working at that multinational corporation, and how that is developed into an interorganizational successful cooperation. So these are just some examples of research going on, and now we have turned in our research team here at Hanken to look at sustainability. So I'm sure this list will be complemented with some nice cooperation that we have ongoing here. With these words, I thank you very much and end my speech. Thank you.